That's what I look at building kings, is helping make sure mindset's right, making sure this is good, make sure they're ready for success. A lot of guys like me are not ready for success or weren't ready for success. So we got to fix that. Then we could go on a fun ride together and grow and scale. So that's what I love doing. That's what a kingmaker to me is.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Campfire Capitalism. I'm your host, Desmond Dixon, and today we have no Queen Heather Stafford. She's out sick, but we have an amazing guest, my man, Josh Wilson. The guy is a man on fire. He's had his ups and his downs, and today is going to be a doozy because we're going to talk a little bit about his story, his resilience, his perseverance. We're going to talk about a little bit of identity. We're going to talk about some deals. We're going to talk about PR. We're going to talk about all types of amazing things today that us capitalists love to talk about. Josh, man, welcome to the show.
Yo, it is good to be amongst fellow capitalists. Yay. I'm so excited to be here. Desmond, thanks for having me, dude. This is so exciting.
Heck yeah, man. I'm so stoked. So, let's just dive right in, man. So who the heck is Josh? And kind of give us an idea of your story, a little bit about your background, and let's just free flow, brother.
Yeah. So most of the time, people go who is Josh, right? One of the questions, if you go to a networking event, they go, hey, I'm Josh, I'm Bob, I'm Frank, I'm Sue, whatever. And they go, what do you do? What do you do? Right. So I love the question because I love to mess with people when I get asked that kind of questions. So I'll typically throw up I'm a dancer, stripper, and they're like, what? Throws them off, especially at a business meeting. But, once we get past that shock of once we get past the do, let's focus on who Josh is. And I love the way you pose it. Who is Josh? I'm a man of God, right? Which funny because I just said I'm a stripper. I'm not, but I'm a man of God, right? I believe that I'm a king in the kingdom. I believe that God created me for a purpose, to love him, to serve him, and be with him and love other people through this. My business, my capitalism side of the thing is to do it because that's who I am. I'm a deal maker. I'm a business guy. I love being in the business, and I do it in a way that I try to bring glory to God and lift up humanity. That's who I am. I'm a father, son. I'm a husband. I do some cool stuff, but at my core, I'm a king, and I love building kings, and I love talking about deals. It's fun. I kind of blacked out just there, and I just spit on you, man. Did any of that make sense?
Yo, I got king, I got kingdom, and I love to do deals, and I got God, man. So man, I think we're at a high vibration level right now. So I think we're good. Awesome. So talk to me a little bit about being a kingmaker, right? I mean, it sounds like you're a king, being a kingmaker. You sound like you like to do deals. You love capitalism. You love God. So how does this all mix together, man? give us the gist of that.
Can I tell you that I'm nervous? If you could tell, I ramble a little bit, I'm nervous. I've done 10 podcasts. I built 10 podcast shows and internet shows. I've done hundreds of videos, thousands of interviews. But anytime the microphone's on me, I get nervous and I ramble a little bit. So I apologize for that. When I'm in control and I have the mic, it's easy. I'm not used to the attention being on me. And yeah, we have a PR company, which is funny because I'm nervous right now. Kingmaker, what the heck does that look like? In my world, the way I see things is, my job here on earth, my purpose, right? What does Josh do? Essentially, is to invest in people, right? Mm. And I look for people who also have some level of higher beliefs, that we're here for a purpose or a calling. Some might call it God, some might call it some other thing. I serve Jesus. But I look for people who have a purpose, have a mission, have a drive, and it's to, do cool deals, make a lot of money, and also lift up humanity. So when I find those people, we have our PR companies like a record label for deal makers. I scoop them up. We co-invest with them. We help them build some cool stuff, podcast shows or whatever. I open up my network to them, open up relationships, do some business advisory, some coaching stuff. And then we get to share in the upside. So those are the deals that our PR company likes to do. So I call it king making because in my story, tons of failure, Desmond, tons. And we could go through that. But I figure with guys specifically, I do a lot of coaching for men. is when, as a broken man, if we're broken through past wounds or whatever, we break things. Broken men break things, right? So it wasn't until I got help, therapy, coaches, counseling, like I was broken, that I started getting traction in my life. Before that, everything I touched, what's the opposite of a Midas touch, right? The Midas touch, anything he touched turned to gold. Whatever I touched got broken because I was broken myself. So that could be a part of the story. But, that's what I look at Building Kings, is helping make sure mindset's right, making sure this is good, make sure they're ready for success. A lot of guys like me are not ready for success or weren't ready for success. So we got to fix that. Then we could go on a fun ride together and grow and scale. So that's what I love doing. That's what a kingmaker to me is.
Dude, I love how it vulnerable you got in real, right? Like being men, sometimes it's like you try to put up this wall or a mask and a bunch of projections, but you just hit the nail on the head. Like if we aren't good in our internal world, that it's literally going to be projected out in our outer world, no matter what we do. And having the right support systems and even having the willingness to ask for support is huge. Yeah. Right, so that you can invite people to actually support you for a common desired outcome.
You got it.
When I first talked to you, we talked a little bit about our stories, and I just really resonated with it deeply. And I think it would be pretty appropriate to really allow our audience really just understand on a deep level Josh's journey, man, because I think that will help explain a lot about the Kingdom Syndicate, the PR firm, how to deal with failure, persistence, and just really just staying committed to, your higher purpose, your higher values, and, making progress not only in life, but spiritually and with your family. So talk to us a little bit about your journey and how to, up to this point.
Yeah. You talk about persistence and grits. I've persistently failed for decades. And how do you, some of the things that I'd like to share here is, how do you keep going? Because I thought about killing myself. I was like, man, I feel worthless, and I was standing on a bridge looking down going, I can splat here and this is what it would look like, right? So I don't know if other people have gone through that, but what I'd like to share here is, as a part of my story, not to say how awesome I am, but to show you some of my awesome failures and then show maybe what kept me going. And as I fixed myself, how I got faster traction, or how I got better alignment with who I am and better alignment with my purpose, things flowed. I don't know if that's a good word. Flowed a little bit better after I fixed internally. And this might resonate with one out of, every 1,000 of your listeners, but for that one person who's a little messy like me, I hope this connects with them. So a little bit of the story. I grew up on a construction site swinging hammers. I got my PhD, post-hole digger, right? I dug holes and swung hammers with my dad. Not the smartest tool in the shed. However, one day in Florida, I was working up on a roof, hot as hell, right? And I saw a Lexus drive in the front yard, throw a for sale sign and drive away. And I go, who was that? Right? My dad and I, we remodeled buildings and houses and such like that. I was making probably $8 an hour, and my dad and I were struggling financially, right? I remember him. My dad was a badass dude. He's one of my heroes. Passed on now. Vietnam vet, couple bullet holes, gutted, construction all his life. Tough guy, taught me hard work. But I remember he cried to me a few times in my life. One was about financial. So here we are, swinging hammers, hot Florida sun, digging holes, digging trenches, and I see a Lexus, and I go, who's that? That's a real estate agent. What do they do? We build it, they sell it. I'm like, I'm just going to do that for the family business. 18 years old, I started buying books about real estate. I got my real estate license. Fast forward, I brought in some investors. We syndicated some deals. We went from swinging hammers to building multifamily. All right. Money changed a little bit. We got a lot more, but with that brought on more problems, more money, more problems, especially for broken guys like me and my dad. I got kind of booted out of the family business. I went and started doing syndicating deals with other investors and built $8 million worth of spec homes in 2006 and 2007. Not good timing, Josh. When that crashed, I turned over keys to my condo on the golf course, lost the vehicle in the process. And I went from, I thought I was going to be a millionaire driving, dirt bikes all around Ocala to driving in a 1992 Honda Civic with the air condition was an oscillating fan on the dash. blowing just hot air in my face, right? It sucks, especially in Florida. So major failures. Pivoted again, wanted to get a secure, stable job. Everybody was telling me, Josh, you're unstable. Yeah, I get it. I've even had investors call me dumpster fire. You need to go get a job, a job. I was like, I got it. I'll take the advice. Got a government job. Did that for a little bit. And in the process, I had 3 other jobs going on. Ran a landscaping company, did real estate, worked at the fire company, and I did well. I was advancing through the leagues. I taught at the college. I was working my ass off, right? And then I built a fitness company, kind of a company that just kind of spawned up out of me training the other firefighters and medics and police and all these people that I was doing defensive tactics with and teaching them fitness. Cashed out my pension, went all in on a fitness tech company, which got me into venture capital and private equity and took me on this really cool journey. And, I've been in VC one day and then on the back of a moving truck the next day to buy diapers for my baby. I've been bankrupt. I've been on food stamps. I've, hand over keys to houses and cars. I was a broken man. You give a broken man some money or some success or whatever, and he'll break it. So that's a part of my journey. And in the process, I built a pretty kick-ass Rolodex, some relationships. I've learned how to crush the ego and be vulnerable like this. I'm trying to. And the more humble I get and the more real I get, the more deals flow and the more success comes. And the more people come who want to help and support. So that's kind of the journey. I could go into any more details, but that's kind of like high level. I've had 3 kids and I've had 3 major financial catastrophes. So no more kids for me. I got neutered. Done.
Coming for 3s.
I'm done.
Man, that's so powerful because, I can definitely relate to that man to man, especially with the literally like falling on your face especially when things are like supposedly going absolutely well. Yeah. And like you said, if you don't have your inner world together, then like obviously it's going to literally project into your outer world and you'll probably retract. So I'm just curious, man, because this is super fascinating. So failure and identity, right? Like obviously you went through this 3 different times and you're literally I wouldn't have known that if you didn't tell me that, right? Because you're not like wearing that like on you, like you are that failure. So like, what's the difference between in your mind, like failure and then identifying with that failure? Kind of go into that a little bit.
Oh, dude, that's so good. I wish actually, if I told myself this when I was 20, I'd be like, yeah, right. Get out of here, old man with gray hair. You don't know what you're talking about because I was an arrogant prick. I was a nice arrogant prick, which is weird. But failure is an event. Identity is like your core foundation of who you are, right? If you look at any successful baseball player, Babe Ruth, most home runs, whatever, right? Also most strikeouts. Do you know him as the most strikeouts or most home runs, right? But if he got a few strikeouts and he goes, I guess I'm a failure. I need to stop swinging for the fences, right? You would go, he's taken on the identity of failure, and then he would stop playing ball. He says, no, I'm a baseball player that hits freaking home runs. I'm swinging for the fence every time, right? I'm pointing and I'm hitting it. I'm going to strike out a lot. That doesn't make me who I am. I'm a baseball player that wants to be on on a bunch of pieces of cardboard that are selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars, 50 years later, right? Whatever. So when I was failing, when I first started getting my failures, it hurt because some of them were public, right? And, going through the process and I couldn't get a job. I'm working 20 hours, not 20 hours, probably like 15 hours a day, trying to learn how to build websites and how to do email marketing, how to build technology things. And people were looking at me going, go get a job. Again, I've heard that a lot in my life. I'm not very employable. Go get a job, a job, right? Because you're not taking care of your family and you're worthless. And here I am working my ass off, helping hundreds of people, hundreds of clients, but I just didn't know the business model. I didn't know how to ask for help. I didn't know how to get advice. I didn't know how to do that. So in the process, I learned a lot about failure because I've experienced it so many times. My most common message I get on LinkedIn is, congrats on the new role or the new company or the new whatever that you're building. If you look through I've been on LinkedIn for a while, 20,000 something followers later, but like if the common message is congrats on the new job. And it's funny, and I'll leave my failures up, but it's just like, man, I had a hard time chasing something, success. And the closer I got to it, the further it ran, but I was chasing an identity. And once I realized that failure is a part of the journey sometimes, and I could have avoided 90% of the failures, but the identity comes from within. The identity comes from within and from above. And then externally, it doesn't matter if I win or fail or lose. It doesn't matter. It doesn't affect my identity. Now that I have my identity, I can build some cool stuff. Does that even make sense? I ramble a little bit.
No, dude, you're in the flow.
Okay.
A lot of that hit, especially with, in particular, that it's like almost like the failure that you experience, like the story that you make of it is what creates the identity, right? So like if you look at failure obviously as, man, I'm a loser, or wow, like that's embarrassing, or whatever, you're gonna wear that around with you, right? Like it's like putting on a dirty shirt. If you're like, okay, wow, my shirt's dirty, it's time to wash it, let me go put it back on, right? Like taking it to the cleaners and taking it new. Dude, you know what's so funny is that my first job ever, right? When I got into corporate, when I got out of college, my boss told me, he was like, dude, I said this on the earlier pod, like on a couple first episodes, but he was like, dude, like, if you don't fail, I know you're not trying, because you have to push yourself to new level. You have to put yourself to new limits in order to grow as a human being. Like if we stay comfortable, stay cozy, then of course if you never fail, that means you're not pushing yourself, right? To a certain degree. And even failure is its own up for speculation, because failure is when you really just stop. You know what I mean?
True.
Yeah. So I'm curious, because you just mentioned up an interesting pattern. I get the same thing on LinkedIn, right? Like, hey, congrats on the new role. I don't get that anymore because I haven't posted a new role in a minute. I'm still doing the same stuff. But happy birthday, whatever. What would you say has probably been your biggest lesson as so far as an investor or as an entrepreneur? Like, what are some of the thing that was probably your biggest lesson outside of obviously this, identity in your inner world? What's something that you specifically had to work on?
Yeah, dude. Man, be coachable, right? So young Josh was not coachable. I was surrounded by smart people, and I would ask them questions, and I would pick who I asked which question, because what I was seeking was validation. Right? I wanted someone to go, wow, that's a really great, Josh, that's a really good idea. Man, you're awesome, Josh. I wanted that so bad. I needed that. I wasn't getting much of that from dad at the time. And so I had daddy issues, right? So I'm seeking that, and what kind of car I drive or house I have or this or that or success or what title I have. So I was seeking validation when at that time, man, I wish I knew this now, I was whole, and I got the validation I need from externally, God, internally, myself. Nobody else matters. I could build upon that. But here I am, when I was sitting in front of those smart investors and advisors and people that I brought in my life, massively successful. When I was seeking validation, I should have been seeking coachable, actionable wisdom, right? I was asking for peanuts. Give me validation. I could pay that. I could buy validation on LinkedIn. I could pay people to like my comments. And we have we're driven by that little dopamine rush of a thumbs up. And that's what I was getting face to face is I wanted that validation, and you could pay for that. You could pay for friends. But what I truly needed was to be coached and gain wisdom, but I was not humble enough. I wanted likes and comments and validation. Rather, I should have been asking for meat. I should have been asking for $1 million. Give me wisdom. But I wasn't humble enough to receive it then. So for entrepreneurs out there, man, humility, you humble yourself. Don't wait for the world to humble you, because that happened to me. I'm the guy who learned from my own failures when wisdom is learning from other people's failures, because I lacked humility. Humble yourself and ask for advice. And then when you hear advice, if you keep hearing the same thing, you may want to pay attention to that. I didn't. I said, I'm smarter than those fools. Yep. Nope, you're not. I'm not. So that's one, man. I got a few others, but that's the most important thing, man. Be humble and be coachable.
Oh man, I think that's huge. So the audience, validation, right? It's so much. It goes so deep, because it's once again a way of being. So if you're like reaching out to get validation from people like consciously, then you most likely you're probably doing it unconsciously too, which your actions are in alignment with trying to get validation.
So
like,
true.
Are you in this business to get validation for, or are you in this business to actually serve someone and provide a desired outcome? Right? Are you making this investment because you want validation that you're an investor, or are you making this investment because it's a solid investment? You know what I mean? like, or you know where I'm going with this? Like,
so good.
I didn't learn this. Josh, I love how you brought this up. I had an epiphany about this particular topic a year ago, where I was like, man, am I really making this decision for me and for like, you know what I mean? Or am I doing this because I'm taking on someone else's energy and looking to get some validation from it, right?
Yeah.
Validation, my place in the world, right?
We want, and if you think this is bullshit, right? Look on the name of big buildings. People will invest everything they had, their kids' money, their money, to get their name written on a wall or a title on LinkedIn. We spend our life climbing up a career ladder to get a title, right? What other people say we are. And we'll sacrifice our family, our loved ones. We'll sacrifice our internal. We will turn off what we want to do with our life and show up and do that, right? And you see this. You see people just wanting to fit in. They'll pay for a country club membership to fit in, to get the validation. They'll pay for a mastermind group to fit in, to pay for validation. We will invest massive amount into our ego, myself included. Done it. Went bankrupt doing it. And you know what? 20,000 something followers here, 10,000 followers here, whatever. Did any of them show up and go, hey man, here's some food. You're hungry? Here's some diapers for your baby's butts. No, that doesn't happen. You have your inner circle. You have your relationship with you and God and yourself. Then you have your little circle, your family, some close friends. Other than that, man, the audience is not going to like love you. They're going to listen, download, thumbs up. That's cool, man. I love you guys. Thank you. However, like my inner circle is where it's at.
Yeah, sick. And I think this moves into a great segment because you're a kingmaker, right? And like the Kingdom Syndicate. And, I'm a sales guy through and through. And I've learned recently since podcasting and meet all these amazing A players and, really successful people. And one thing I'm picking up on is relationships. Like you said, those inner relationships, like those people who are like ride or die, people who will give you like advice, like the real advice that might hurt your feelings, right? Yeah. But it's in your best interest for you to be, level up yourself. So talk to me a little bit about like, especially being a man, being a man, an entrepreneur, like, cause that's two lonely worlds colliding, right?
Yeah.
Because it can be lone wolfing. So talk to me a little bit about like the value in like having a group of other like-minded individuals, really pushing each other to, up-level themselves, up-level their impact, up-level their finances, right? So talk to me a little bit about the Kingdom.
Yeah. So, we have our brokerage, does M&A, does commercial stuff. That's Kingdom Syndicate. Then we have our PR company, PR Ventures, and that has our different podcast shows, multimedia stuff like that. And our PR company, where most people look at PR as public relations, likes, comments, and bigger audience, our PR company stands for personal relationships, right? It's not that we don't care about the audience, but we really don't care about the audience. Like we are focused. We do, we try to ping a message and then maybe one or two people in the audience will pay attention and they'll like reach out to us and they say, hey, I like what you said. It resonates. I'm in. And then we create a relationships. But when it comes to like, connecting with people who are like you, let's chat about that. Okay, Desmond. I'm a master at wearing a mask. I could posture, I could fit in any group, I could crack any, I could hang out with a billionaire or a homeless person, right? Like part of this is just God's favor on my life, but it's also hurt me if I didn't know how to leverage it, right? So being popular, being able to crack these different groups, I could wear a mask. And what happens is when you wear a mask and you become a chameleon, you can fit any group, but you fit no group and it's lonely, right? I have more friends than, whatever, but it's lonely. Because nobody knew who the real Josh was, because I was constantly just putting on another mask. Josh, the real estate broker, Josh, the guy who wrestled alligators, Josh, the VC guy, Josh, the private equity, Josh, the whatever. And I could wear a mask and fit in any group until the mask cracked and because it suffocated me. So when you say hanging around people like you, if you don't know who you are, you're not going to create any type of, there's a Latin phrase, simile, or something like that. Birds of a feather flock together. But if you don't know who you are, or you don't let the world know who you are, you're not going to have your circle. right? So I had to humble myself, and the mask that was suffocating me, all these different personas that I was putting out, ultimately killed me. And I was just like, I just need to be me. Open kimono, cold, wet day, shriveled Josh just stands here and goes, this is who I am. Who wants to hang out and do something cool? I'm building this. And then people started to show up. It wasn't until the mask completely dropped. And people are like, dude, you tell us a little bit, too much information. TMI, Josh. And I go, well, I'd rather that than be on the flip side. I have freedom. Like we all work so hard because we want freedom, right? I'm learning freedom by being naked, transparent, and vulnerable. And then the people who hang out with me still after all that, those are my friends. I don't have to fake it anymore. All the friends, Lamborghinis and Ferraris and all those friends, where are they? I look around. It was the guy who, when my dad died, showed up and helped me paint one of the rooms so we could turn it into a hospital room for my mom. That was valuable. The other guys who were like, I'm there, ride or die, Josh, where are they? Guys who I've made millions of dollars for, where are they? Yeah, so good and bad. If you don't know yourself, how could the world know you? How could you connect with people who are like you? And I'll tell you, man, I'd rather go into battle or in life or in a business with a few people who are pot committed to you and who can trust. People do with business with people they know, like, and trust. I'd rather go with a few people that I really trust, with my wife, my kids, my family, my life. Let's run, than a huge audience of 100 million people. I don't care, right? I'm so passionate about this, Desmond. If you can't feel this, man, like, got to be real, got to be transparent. And I'm a master of that. So I got to go the other direction because I'm an all-in kind of guy. I have to go the opposite direction with my transparency. I got to go because I don't know how to do anything halfway.
I mean, you literally just describe without saying it, but literally like a king's mindset, right? Like, kings don't care what other people think of them. Kings don't try to fit in. Kings stand out. Kings let their belief systems known, and they attract their kingdom, right? Based upon who they are, right?
Yeah.
Through strength, through humility, through vulnerability, right?
Yeah, I'm learning that, Desmond. I care so much about what people think. And it hurts me when I get a negative review or someone who gets their feelings hurt. Man, it hurts because I love people and I want to do good. And that's why I constantly have to do these freaking manifestation things and affirmations of, Josh, this is what you're called to do. This is your purpose. This is your mission. You're making a difference. Guys will reach out and they go, man, I was thinking of killing myself. I heard your podcast, Josh. Like, that's what I'm here for. I'm not in it for the applause of the audience, even though that's great. It's fun, man. It feels good. It boosts my ego. But then I got to go, okay, back to reality, Josh. Take it for a second. Go, thank you. All right, back to the mission, back to the game, back to deal making, back to business, back to investing in people. But man, like, I would love to say that I'm immune from what people say. It hurts my feelings, dude. I'm a grown ass man who gets my feelings hurt, and it makes me want to cry sometimes. Dude, I fought fires. I fought people. I used to study jujitsu and worked with SWAT guys on defensive tactics, and I've wrestled alligators. I don't know if I said that. I've worked in venture capital. Yeah. I've ran into fires. I delivered babies. I've been shot at, like all these things. And I get my feelings hurt. Right? Weak. No, I'm real. I'm a human, man. I want people to like me. I want that. But more importantly, if God likes me and if I like myself, there's not much room for other people. I would really like it if my wife likes me, maybe my kids. Other than that, man, no energy for anybody else.
Maybe your kids.
Maybe my kids. Listen, I had daddy and mommy issues. They're gonna have daddy and mommy issues. I'm trying to make their life, letting them know that they're kings and queens. But they'll have to go to counseling one day, I'm sure.
Everyone has mommy and daddy issues, man. So always something that's not right. Yeah. Man, this is so sick. So, man, we talked a lot about the kingdom. We talked a little about your story. We talked about how there's, separation between failure and identity. We talked about, vulnerability. I want to let's put all this together for what your zone of genius is, which is, dude, you're a deal guy, right?
Deal guy.
Since you was 18 years old and got your real estate license, You have been a deal guy. So I love when I talk to deal guys. I love reading Stephen Schwartz and Larry Fink and Michael Dell, all these great entrepreneurs. I love reading about their mental modeling. So I'm pretty curious with you. Obviously, a part of your mental modeling is about the internal world. So like when you approach a deal, or when you see a deal, or you see an entrepreneur or a person that you see like a potential with. I mean, talk to me a little bit about your thought process, right? The match. I guess I'm asking for your recipe, right? So how do you approach deals and think through them?
So, okay, let's rewind. So my first couple deals is I would go garage sailing with my grandmother. I have a little Jewish grandmother, and we would go to garage sales in the swap shop down in South Florida. Shout out to all my South Florida friends. We would go to this place called Swap Shop, actually where Steve-O from Jackass got his start at the circus. So we would go to the Swap Shop, and I'd buy fake Oakleys, I'd buy knives and candy, and then I would sell it to other kids. All right. I saw value in access at an early age, probably because of things that I learned from my grandmother, right? My dad in construction, he would pull up a dumpster, like a trailer, do the renovation, throw all the wood and crap, and then we would take it to the dump. When we got home, I would take the wood out of the dumpster, transform it into a skateboard ramp and sell it to the kids down the road. Right? Taking things out of trash, taking things and then reselling it, taking things and making it valuable to other people. Right? So I had a pretty good understanding from an early age of how to put a deal together. Here's how I approach deals now. Everything is around people. Right? People do business with people they know, like, and trust. Other than that, it's a commodity. Right? Go buy a mouse. You're going to go to Amazon, click on, Bluetooth wireless mouse, and you could buy one right now for $12. It's a race to the bottom. I'm not in the commodity game. The deals that we're working on are big. They only do deals with people they know, like, and trust. Unless they're in a lot of pain, then they'll do deals with anybody, and then they're on a slippery slope and they know they're going downhill quick. But if they have the choice and they're on the upswing, people are going to choose to do deals with people they enjoy being with. Why? It's just wired in us, man. We want to hang out with people who value us, right? Who see us and value us, who aren't assholes. And, so my number one thing is I see people and I see their value, right? I see to a nail or to a hammer, the world is a nail, right? Everything's a nail. Mm-hmm. When you learn about and you learn how to heal and you become a king or becoming a king, you start to see other kings. You go, wow, potential. People invested in me when I was bankrupt, depressed, anxious, wanting to kill myself. People scooped down and invested in me. So I have to go through this process of seeing potential in other people and speaking into their lives, saying, Desmond, you're awesome. You're great, man. You're really good at this. This other stuff that you're not good at, we got to figure out how to delegate it out. We got to figure out how to partner it out. We got to get that off your plate so you can focus on your genius. So that's what I'm learning to do. But it took me to the brink of, I've got it tattooed on my arm. Who am I? It's tattooed on my arm because I fought for this thing for 20, 30 years, whatever, trying to figure that piece out. Now I help other people figure it out. And we build businesses around it. Or we scale businesses, or we do deals together. That's what I'm looking for, man. I would say that's my zone. That's my lane. People.
Love it, man. Ooh, you got me want to run through a wall, man. I want to run through hey, if you're driving right now, don't go through the wall. Okay, stay clear. Yo, so I love listening for patterns when I do these interviews, and so I'm just curious, man. I just want to put two to two together real quick. So you mentioned that earlier, that validation, you were seeking validation with coaching and asking for advice. And that was you were asking for peanuts. Yeah. Do you think that was a direct correlation between how you approach deals of now, you just mentioned going big and, not being a commodity and all these things. Do you think that changing that inner world of validation has helped you on a massive scale with what you're doing now?
Well, before I answer that, here's how I know you're good at this, Desmond. And I've done 1,000 interviews. I built a show, sold some, I've done, I built a bunch of stuff. Here's how I know you're good at this. I forgot we were recording. So I'm just jamming with you. And I forgot like this is being recorded. I'm like, oh shit, what did I say? So kudos to you, man. You're doing really good at this. All right. So ask your question again, because I forgot what you said.
All right, cool. Yeah. So you mentioned about where like, it was like, when I asked you, I was like, hey, what's probably one thing that obviously you could tell your younger self or a failure, that really stood out to you. And you said it was when asking for coaching, I was seeking for validation. So I was bringing things to get validated and not really going for those home runs, not going for those like $1 million pieces of advice, those $1 million coaching until you were playing small with your getting coached and being coachable. Wow. So I was wondering with that internal world, how that like also change your deal making as well, because you're probably where deal making was come from in that validation point. Now you're going from it. It sounds like there's two different energies, right? So I'm just interested to kind of hear how that pivot and coachability has led to you, helping others get deals, you getting deals, and how like really helped your business right now.
Oh, buddy, that's a great question. All right. So this is going to be a little perhaps deep. Every once in a while I swim in the deep end. I was starving. Right? If you look at the hierarchy of needs, Maslow's hierarchy of need, right? At the bare bottom, I need oxygen, food, and water, right? That's at the base of the pyramid. This is what I need. I cannot have anything else in terms of the hierarchy of needs and one day reach self-actualization where I get this like cool star that pops over my head when I'm enlightened or whatever, right? But at the base of it is if you don't have food and water and oxygen, if you're bleeding out, nothing else matters. So I'm reaching out to people for validation because I'm starving for something to fit in, to feel important, for significance. I'm starving for that, and that became my oxygen. And I would get a little taste of it through a straw, like, ooh, someone likes me. Oh, I could pick up chicks, way before marriage if my wife's listening, right? Like you get this little taste of validation from picking up girls or from people liking you or from sports, right? When you're in high school and you get these things and you get little sips of validation, but I'm starving and nothing else matters. People could say, you should do this. I don't even hear that because I'm hungry, right? When I realized on the hierarchy of needs, and I'm reaching out to these people, super successful, and I'm asking them for peanuts and little breaths of oxygen to just say, you're awesome, Josh. That's what I would get. You have not because you ask not. So I'm asking for little handouts, little crackers to keep me going, right? But that's what a broken man does. When you start to get healed, when you start to figure out that you are a king, that you're called according to a purpose, that you got the breath of life in you, called God, right? When you have that, you don't need to go external of it. When you have that, man, that's oxygen. That's your fuel, that's your fuel. That's your energy. Then you can build on top of that. And then when someone's just trying to give me a little crumb, here's the value of yourself. When someone tries to pay you with crumbs, you go, no, thank you. I'm covered. I've got everything I need, right? When you're starving, it brings out the sharks. That's when I've been burnt the worst because I'm starving for validation. I'm starving to just make things fit. I'm starving to be successful, and sharks smell that, right? And that's when, man, catastrophe happens. You'll get someone who can manipulate you. You could get groups who could come in and be like, Josh, you're awesome. Go work 80 hours a week. Yes, sir, I'll do it. Right? Sacrifice your family. I've got a mission for you, Josh. That's happened to me, right? Or an investment group of going, oh, cool, come work with us. You could be a whatever, fill in the blank rock star. They're filling my ego, investing in my pride and such like that. If you got that from your relationship with who you are and your identity and your relationship with God and your relationship with yourself, you don't need that. So when someone tries to pay you pennies or peanuts, you could say, no, thank you. I'm covered. I want steak. Yeah, I might need to work for some hamburgers, but I want steak. I'm worth a steak, right? So in my hierarchy of needs, man, in that I was asking people for coaching and such, I was really seeking peanuts because I'm starving. Once I realized that I can move up the hierarchy a little bit based on who God called me to be, and that's what kings need to do. They need to realize that they're kings and they can move up that hierarchy of needs for service, for impact, for legacy. You can be broke. That's okay. You're still a man of legacy. You're still a person of impact. You still have a purpose. Know your value. Offer that value to the world. Start out small if you need to. Work for peanuts. Move up your way to steaks. Colby steaks or whatever they're called. I don't know. I don't need those kind of things. But
or some Wagyu beef, baby.
Yeah,
Let's give some Wagyu.
Yeah,
dude, man. If you don't mind, I'm gonna free flow with you here because this hits so close to home. I think specifically with when the kind of conversations as like we change our conversations. Obviously, we could change our perception of our on our paths essentially, right? And when I stopped my conversation from like, what can I get out of this to what can I give to this? Oh man, you talk about playing for stakes, man. I mean, you're playing for stakes for two people. Like you're setting the table, right? And the more I learned that, like, you don't want to be a martyr and like give until you don't have, you don't have anything for yourself. But connecting people and being abundant, like an abundance mindset, like what you just mentioned with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I love Maslow's hierarchy of needs, by the way. It's a really great, use the pyramid, guys. It's going to be a PDF in the show notes. You guys can go check it out. When you come from a place of scarcity, then like obviously those peanuts taste good when you take that dopamine hit. But when you're playing from a place of abundance, you attract other abundant people. You attract abundant opportunities, right? Like it's huge. And I mean, that's kind of what I'm hearing you say, like, especially with like being a king, right? Kings are abundant. They never run out, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So good. So true. You mentioned the word martyr. Let's talk about martyr. So there's people who go, I'm a Christian, I love Jesus, and just because of their beliefs, they're killed, right? I don't think that's what we're talking about here. The martyr is the person who's always the victim, always, I gave so much, and woe is me, right? They become the victim mentality, right? One of the guys that he's here at the Business Incubator, and he has a thing, it's Lotus, live above the unique struggles. So shout out to that guy. But he says, you got to move from victim to victor. And the martyr, in this phrase of what we're talking about, is the victim. Oh man, I just give. You're giving away because you don't value yourself. Yeah, be generous. Be generous. Love it. Love giving. But if you're give, and your pot is empty, dude, you're not taking care of yourself. You're not taking care of your mission. You're not taking care of your purpose. You're not taking care of you. You're not taking care of the people you're serving, and they don't value it. So stop doing that. Knock it off.
It's like giving out dirty water, right? You gotta do the work. This is sick. So that landed, man. So there's definitely some balance, but being an abundance mindset, but at the same time, like, trying to help other people get their desired outcomes without sacrificing your own value, right? Right.
So you create a great thing is when you went from what can I get out of this to what can I give? That's awesome. Mm-hmm. This is where I'm learning to go. Here's the deal table, guys. This is what I created. Who wants to participate? Like I want people. Now I have my philanthropic arm where I give with no expectation of return. Right? That's give. Don't even look at it. Just going give. And one day I'm going to start looking at my impact of going, okay, I'm giving, and this is the return I want to see for them, the return of impact for them. But right now I'm just not there yet. That's something I have to learn in the future. That's called legacy. Don't know that yet, learning. But over here, that's my philanthropic arm. Give. Over here is my investor arm. If I invest in you, what are we going to do together? What am I going to get out of it? Right? That's what I'm looking for. This whole idea is I give to you. You're not a nonprofit. You're a for-profit. I've got a lot of entrepreneurs out there that think that I'm a nonprofit company. No, I'm an investor. Like, I'll do something with you. What's my return? I have responsibility to my wife, my family, I have to keep the lights on here, my business partners, the people that I support, the impact side that I have. Now, investors, what are we going to do together, and what do I get? Right? And that, to me, man, here's the table I'm building. Who wants to sit at it? Or, hey, the table over there and you're building it. Cool. How could I be a part of it to get the upside? Let's do it together. That's what I'm learning. There's the giving side. Give, that's great. Then there's the investor side. That's business.
I agree with you with the business side. Let's talk secondary, right? Second degree, right? In terms of, yes, you're going to go in and do these business, but you already said this, that you're like, who in my network, right? Because you have a mutual interest in the desired outcome of this business. So obviously, when you look at an opportunity, you're looking at, okay, where's the potential in this? What can I give? Obviously, from a capital position, from a network position, from a resources position to actually help it get there. Because maybe that your pot of resources or connections outside of the, the fiduciary, the financial side may be the difference from unlocking a ton of value to the upside for that business, right? Which makes it a super win-win, right? So like there's some abundance still in it. Like, yes, you're an investor. You want, hey, if I invest $1 in, I want $1.10 out or $2 out or $3 out, whatever that, that number is for you based on the industry. But you're obviously going in with this with like more than just money. Like, I want to help you win, right? Like, how can I help you win, right? So this was sick, man. So let's wrap up here. So like, how can the audience find you? Talk to us about your, the podcast you have going on. What's something that you can leave behind? Obviously, this stuff is going to be in the show notes, but it'll be nice for you to give yourself a quick plug.
Yeah, man. So I appreciate that, man. Thank you. So if people want to like talk deals, I have a show called The Deal Scout where I go talk with deals and deal makers and I look at things, and behind the scenes, I'm putting deals together, commercial real estate, mergers, acquisitions, people buying and selling big stuff. The Deal Scout is the tip of the spear for me. It helps me get into some cool conversations ranging from mom and pop shops all the way up to SPACs. So, that's our show there. We've helped put over $300 million worth of deals together through a show that has very small audience. Imagine that. And then we have our impact show called Uncensored Advice for Men. We've interviewed porn stars and pastors and kind of everything in between to ask the tough questions. What advice do you have for men? So those are 2 podcast shows that we host. We're going to launch a few more through our PR company. LinkedIn is probably the easiest way. So Joshua Bruce Wilson, BRUC Wilson. People can find me there, follow, connect with me there, start up a conversation. Say, hey, I heard you on Desmond's show. Could I give them a call to action?
Absolutely. We're capitalists, man.
Yeah. You fellow capitalist, right now, go review Desmond's show. Give him a 5-star review. Give him a kick-ass review. Introduce him to some people that should be on his show. Like, he's adding some value. He didn't ask anything from you in this. Go support that and be a part of it. Figure out how to do a deal with Desmond. This is awesome what he's doing. You guys don't even know like how valuable this is. So there's going to be 1 or 2 that reach out and go, Desmond, you're awesome. Like, how do I help? Go the distance. Give a review. Open up your network. Do a deal with him. Yeah. Boom.
It's unexpected, man. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you for coming on. This was a super fun episode. Covered a lot of ground. Super inspirational, Josh. And thanks, man. This was sick.
Yeah, dude. Love you, man. I love what you're doing. Good job.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Well, awesome, guys. Congratulations. You made it to the end. I appreciate you giving me and Josh your most precious resource on the planet, which is your time. And we thank you. Don't forget to, like Josh said, leave a rating, leave a review, send us some comments, go check out his stuff, check out his 2 podcasts. I think those will be some awesome pieces of information there. And it was nice seeing you guys, and we'll see you back at the campfire. Bye.